Hello everyone, David Braben here. Now, we've been making great progress on Odyssey, and what we have here is not quite a dev diary. We thought we'd mix it up a bit. This is a video of 3 of our excellent community team raiding a settlement. It's still pre-alpha, but a huge well done to the team for getting to this point. I've been playing it too, it's really coming together. We'll share more in the coming weeks, but here is the video. Enjoy.
Alright guys, we're on our way in. Dutch munitions is 20 km ahead. The landing shouldn't be a problem, but when you're there, take no chances. I would suggest avoiding contact. Use cover as much as possible. Get the job done and get out.
Okay, I think we should be alright.
Alright guys, we're here. The power building's at the back on the right hand side next to the command center.
So what's the plan? The plan is we go in and try and stay quiet, not draw too much attention to ourselves. If you do get stopped by a guard, we are clean at the minute, so let them just scan you and move on. But we'll try and avoid that.
Alright.
You ready to go, Cersei?
Sure. Let's go take them offline.
Alright guys, we know your roles, you know what you got to do. If you make your way down the middle, it should be a pretty short run. I'll keep eyes on for a little while guys, but then I'll make my way to the rendezvous.
Right, let's move up.
How are we looking?
You've got some skimmers, some guards, but they all seem to be moving away from you, so you should be clear.
Thanks, Hermes. Alright, let's stay as far away from the guards as we can.
Looks like you guys will get this from here. I'm going to make my way to the rendezvous point. Good luck. Shout me if you need me.
Alright, see you later, Hermes.
See you on the other side, son. Right, after you. How's it looking around there?
This side looks good, actually. Walkway is clear.
Okay. Right, push up.
Yeah, let's go. I see 2 personnel over the other side, just outside the airlock.
Oh yeah, I see them.
Okay, we have some medical supplies here in case we need them.
Okay. Okay, I'm moving up. I've got a guard across, walking past the habitation building. And I've got eyes on the power building. We okay to move up?
Yeah, let's move across to the command center.
Cool.
Walkway to the left is clear.
Right, on your mark.
Okay, let's go for it.
Alright guys, I'm in position. Waiting behind the ridgeline. Shout me when you need me.
Alright.
Cool. I'm pushing forward.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a clean path all the way to the power building.
Right, I'm sprinting over. Okay, I'm at the door. I'm just looking through the door now, and I see 2 workers.
Be aware you do have some security services running combat air patrol over this installation. I've got a Viper and a Vulture.
Copy that.
Right, could you cover me while I just cut the maintenance panel, please?
Alright.
Cutting now.
Yeah, looks like we're clear. Let's get in and out pretty quick.
Alright. Panel is cut. Panel's down. Switching to the energy link. Okay, right, I'm going to overload the airlock. Just look after me.
Okay.
Overloading in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, the worker's going to have to go. I can't do what I need to do with them in there.
Alright.
I'm going to take them out. That's 1 worker down. That's 2 workers down. Okay, right, they're done.
Okay, nicely done. We haven't alerted anyone outside yet.
Excellent, okay. Right, I'm going to hack into the reactor now. Applying E-breach now. E-breach applied. Almost in. Keep an eye out for me.
Alright.
Right, okay, I'm in. So I'm getting ready to disengage the regulator, so the alarm's going to go off. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Sweet. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the core's shutting down.
All right, the base is alerted.
They're coming for us now. Let's get ready.
Reactor shutdown protocol has been initiated.
Right, there's some med kits in here if you want them as well.
Shutdown in T-minus 60
Okay,
seconds.
guards are coming our way. We have 3 guards. Make that 4 closing in on us now.
You're going to have to take most of the shots as well, because my suit's not designed for it. Remember, you can use the airlock as cover if you need to.
All right.
Cersei, how long are we looking for this regulator?
Okay, regulator is about 40% done.
Reactor shutdown in 30 seconds.
Okay, we are 3/4 of the way done. I'd get those engines warmed up as well.
Yeah, I'm on standby, ready when you are.
Okay, we're gonna have to be quick to make a move because they're really piling up outside now. I'm gonna make my way back in.
Reactor shutdown in 10 seconds.
Okay, they've got me backed into the power room now.
Okay, core is venting.
Reactor shutdown complete.
Regulator should be extending now.
How much longer do you need?
I'd say another 5 seconds.
I'm starting my approach.
Okay, I'm trying to stop them from coming in.
Regulator is exposed. Okay, I'm taking it now. Oh, I've got it.
Okay, let's make a break for it.
As quick as you can, we're not going to last much longer here. Right, I need you to get that ship in.
I'm already on my way.
All right, just keep running. Okay, we're about to exit on the west.
We're going to have to stay in this gap until the ship's in.
Coming in low and fast.
Why are you picking us up?
Yeah, west side, west side.
All right, we're gonna need you soon, pilot. They're really closing in on us.
Yep.
You should see me coming to the ridgeline now.
Yeah, they are coming hard and fast here.
Coming in now. Got this in covering fire.
It's a grenade. We're getting shot at by the Goliath now.
All right, turn and run. Let's go.
Right, run.
Come on.
Just a few more moments.
Goliath right in front of me.
It's shooting at me.
Try and use the ship for cover.
Okay.
All right, just keep running. I'll try and cover us.
You can make it, you can make it. Keep running.
We're so close.
Okay, I'm under the ship. I'm almost on. Regulator in tow.
Let me know when you're in.
I'm getting in now. Right, I'm on board, and so is the regulator.
Okay, we're on. Let's go.
Straight up and out. Come on, come on, come on. We should be clear.
Excellent job.
All right, bring us home.
It was, yeah. Had a lot of fun making that for you guys. Obviously, it wasn't done just by us. David was very kind to say that we were the actors, but actually a lot of people were involved in making this video a thing. So we do have some people to thank actually before we get any further into this stream. Oh, hang on. Hold up, Arthur. Can we just double check our audio? I think only my sound is coming through at the minute. So can we make sure everything is not muted or on or turned up? In the meantime, yes, I will take the reins. Yes. So I will play both the parts of Arthur and Bruce for a few seconds while we fix the audio issues, guys. Yeah, so as we were saying, we hope you guys enjoyed that. We had a lot of fun making it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. We're about to thank all of the people who were involved in making the video. I'll start rattling off some names. So obviously QA played a big part in having, maintaining and fixing the build as and when we were trying to do some of the playthrough bits. So Sam Sauer in particular and Evan Aris really helped us out. Obviously, we had the audio team do their part.
Am I live? Can people hear me now?
Producers. Oh, do we have Arthur back, chat? Let us know. Let us know. Another sound check, please, Arthur.
Testing. 1, 2. Can you hear me?
All right. There he is. Okay, yes, we're back. All right,
Hooray.
we're online again. Welcome back to the stream, Arthur.
Well, thank you for taking the reins, Bruce. So just, it wouldn't be an Arthur told me stream, was there not a technical difficulty? And as you can tell, I'm in the office because I had my internet cut from my house this morning. So not because I'm paid, just to clarify, just because internet was down in my area. But yes, you were thanking the people that are involved in the video, of which there are many, but in particular, I know you've probably done it, but I'd like to do it myself as well. Evan for all the takes and putting up with Bruce and I's terrible gameplay. Sam S. Sam Sauer, also from QA, for constantly helping us with builds and fixes and making sure we're in the right branch and doing various very techie stuff that we couldn't do. Then all the behind the scenes stuff that people don't know. So Piers, Lucas, Samantha from the dev team production, just making sure that we could get access to the build. I've seen some questions in there asking, was this real gameplay? Yes, it was real gameplay. Yes, this is pre-alpha, so like this is very early builds of the game that we were using to capture this. So there will be some parts in there that do look a little bit rough around the edges. We appreciate that, but we did think it was important that you get to see the game being played, I guess is the right way to say it. So as I said, we're always quite honest in these chats. So we hope you liked it. And like I say, we couldn't have done this without a very combined effort from all the different departments at Frontier. It's difficult enough to do this when it isn't a pandemic. It's even more difficult when it is. So thank you for all the people that worked tirelessly behind the scenes to get this stuff done. It really couldn't have done it without you. And I don't want to forget, because the people like in the QA department really are unsung heroes who do an awful lot of work in testing. And sometimes they do sadly get forgotten about in other areas, in other industries, but not ours and not at Frontier. So we love you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Sam, for all your hard work.
Absolutely. So, on that point of it being actual gameplay, I know some people said they were uncertain, but no, that was 100%. The whole thing was actually done from the perspective of our screens as we were playing. All of it in first person as well. So besides the opening shot of the ship, which is obviously a third person camera coming in, and then the takeoff as well at the end, but everything in between was 100% us just playing the game and recording what was on screen.
And before people ask us, did we do it in one take? No, we absolutely did not. And we'll go into more in a little bit, but it took us a lot to do this because not because of the state of the game, just because of the state of us as playing it. We had to learn how to play Odyssey, because you can't just run in and start thinking you're God's gift with a weapon, because it definitely doesn't plan out the way you hoped it was. So there was a lot of failed attempts, glorious deaths, but there was a lot of them. Some other housekeeping rules. There are drops on this stream, so I think it's the purple suite. So all the purple stuff and goodies will be on this stream. So as long as you've linked your accounts, you will be getting those drops. I think it's 15, 30, and 45, I believe, are the timings. So you should definitely have plenty of time to pick up all three of these packages. Have I missed anything, Bruce? Am I going to be?
I think that just about covers it. I think we're basically ready to introduce our star guest of the show.
Indeed. Now I'm going to just flick cameras straight away. Welcome back. Now hopefully my host, you can still hear me. Who knows? Let me know if you can still hear me. Welcome back, Gareth Hughes, lead designer on Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Thank you for coming back, Gareth.
No worries. Thanks. It's great to be here.
And obviously we still have Mr. Greedo. We can't shift him. Sadly, he's an irritant. So first and foremost, chat, can we get some 07s, please, for Gareth? It is in fact his birthday, and he's joined us today on his birthday because he cares. So 07 and happy birthday, Gareth. 21 again. So cool. So we're going to ask you. Obviously, you're involved in the mission playthrough, and I've been badgering you loads of stuff, Gareth. We often chat about different things. So I want to talk about various aspects of the mission. So this is pre-alpha, right? So just in terms of the gameplay footage that we're showing, I just want to be super clear again. I know how much this game has changed, even because, for instance, as an anecdote for chat, the last time I came in to look at Dutch munitions, it was an entirely different location. It's like a really cool cliff face and stuff like that, which isn't in this shot. So that shows you how old or how early that footage was, or that build was. So just to be clear, this is early alpha footage, right, Gareth?
That's right, yeah. So I think, as you said, things are changing rapidly. We're in that end phase of development where we're really sort of balancing and polishing everything. So we're seeing pretty dramatic day-to-day improvement. Things that have been broken for some time are now fixed, and just the quality levels just up and up and up.
Yeah, I mean, what was interesting for Bruce and I, and Bruce, feel free to chime in if you want, but it was just a case of how quickly you guys were just going through all of the issues that were coming up and just fixing them, because it's the scale of this. Because what we're looking at, we're going to go into some more detail, chat. We're looking at one particular mission, one particular site, on one particular planet, and this is scaled throughout the entire galaxy in Elite Dangerous, right? So it's huge. This is not just making this one mission. This is making this mission and the variables thereof galaxy-wide, right? So it's a huge task.
Yep, that's it. So, I mean, we're looking at 27 unique settlements spanning 6 different themes. So we've got agricultural, industrial, extraction, what else? We've got tourism, research, and military. So, there's a really wide variety of settlements. Each of the settlement themes has unique building types in them that can facilitate unique mission types. Then we have a sort of more generic missions that will work across all of them. So there's lots of combinations, in terms of, like you say, the planet that the actual settlement is in, the type of faction that currently has ownership of it, and again, that's dynamic through the BGS. The theme of that settlement, and then the kind of events that can happen there. So there's all these things that are converging together to create these sort of unique experiences.
Yeah, and obviously that's a huge amount of variables in a galaxy-wide simulation. So obviously the other bit of big news there was the alpha date of 29th of March, which we're very excited to share. I know a lot of people have been asking about when that alpha was going to be. We will have more sort of detailed breakdown on the alpha very, very soon in terms of like how that's going to roll out, how you get access to it. But 29th of March is the date for your calendar. And the reason why the alpha is so important is because of just like what we just said there. There's so many variables here that really we can only test to a certain degree within our own sort of 4 walls, as it were, as a business. So we're really going to be asking for our community to get involved in the alpha and understand that it is an alpha. Okay, and I want to be really clear on it. This is an alpha. So we do expect you to find the rough edges and the things that don't work. In fact, that's why we want you to be taking part in it, because we know how passionate our community are. So please don't think we're get you in there as like a we're asking for your help, right? This is a huge galaxy with huge features, so we're asking you to come in there and just basically tell us what needs fixing, balancing, etc., etc. So 29th of March is a very important date. Bruce is going to get stressed because Bruce very kindly wrote out an entire confidence page of questions for us to follow, and Gareth and I just have a chat, and Bruce gets really stressed because he's got a whole flow of questions which I'm ruining. I know, Bruce.
Yeah, you definitely are. No, you're trying to. I appreciate you trying to paint me as some like dictator cracking the whip who's saying we have to be on schedule. If we're not talking about NPCs and all the different types of NPCs by minute 7, then I'm going to throw a fit. No, I mean, there are some things we can talk about, but hopefully this will just be a nice.
Well, why
don't
you lead in the next bit then? I'll let you have carte blanche to go for the next section, Bruce.
Sure. Well, on the topic of NPCs then, because that is actually a really interesting one. Could you talk us through, Gareth, maybe a little bit about what kind of NPCs we might encounter at a settlement? Obviously, we saw guards walking about there and then eventually obviously becoming hostile in that playthrough there. Could we talk about NPCs just very generally, what we might encounter if we go to a settlement and how they might behave?
So generally we split the NPCs into 2 distinct types in terms of behaviour. So there's the guards that you saw that you were fighting against, and also the poor civilians that you murderized in the reactor room. And obviously they're different in terms of loadout, they're different in terms of the way they act in the settlement. But I think the more fundamental thing that sort of drives your interaction with settlement AI NPCs is the background sim and your relationship with the faction. So if you have a friendly, cordial relationship with that faction, then you're kind of free to pretty much go anywhere in the settlement and walk around and explore. Maybe you'll find some mission givers there that you can interact with and take missions from. If you have a bad relationship with that faction, that settlement might well just be out and out hostile to you, and it'll be a shoot on sight kind of relationship. So as you're moving into that settlement, if you're detected and seen, you're going to be in conflict straight away. If you have that,
you can also give yourself a bad rep whilst you're there, as we
Oh,
discovered.
yeah, absolutely.
You can do things that they really don't like, Gareth, right? So can you give examples of what you could do that could upset friendly AI?
So if you go in shooting, that's going to upset even the most friendly AI, right? I think you could see as soon as you were killing AI without reason, you're issued a bounty straight away. Once you've got that bounty on you, then you're kind of fair game. It's an in-jurisdiction bounty. You've just committed murder, so they're going to crack down on you pretty hard. I think the other interesting aspect of what the AI is doing there is that the settlement doesn't have a hive mind in terms of what you're doing in the settlement. If you're detected doing something that you shouldn't do, that's going to elicit a violent response from the AI, before the whole settlement is aware of that and then start to converge on you, that message has to be radioed out essentially to the wider settlement. So you're given a window of opportunity if you're doing something naughty and you're detected doing it to kind of interject before that AI can send that message out. So go for it.
So I was going to say, there's various things that we noticed that we did that upset them. I say it was accidentally, and we accidentally pointed a weapon at them. They didn't like that at all.
Don't like that.
They'll warn you, to be fair,
they did.
right? They're like,
they did.
Put it away, and if you
Bruce
persist in pointing guns in their faces, they get upset.
And the second is they'll ask you to stop for a scan, right? So they'll say to you, "Sorry, Commander, can I just scan you?" And they don't like it if you run away from the scan, right?
That's right. So they have the same scanning device as you do, and that scanning device can essentially pick up on your existing criminality. So you might have a cordial relationship with that faction, but if you go into the settlement and you do something suspicious or something that warrants them coming over, they'll basically scan you with the profile analyzer. And if they detect a crime on you, then an in-jurisdiction crime, then they'll react immediately and attack. Also, we have, I think you could see some of the kind of gating to some of the buildings. Yes. Like you guys, you hacked away, you cut away with the arc cutter, the panel, exposed the mechanism, and then overloaded it with the E-link. Right, that's one way of getting in there when you don't. But there was a number on that door, so I think it was a 3.
Was indeed.
Which is basically the required level of authorization to get through that airlock or door, or even on a given interaction within one of the rooms might have this sort of gating on it. And the way that you can get authorization is essentially by cloning it, by scanning an AI that already has that authorization. So you're basically kind of stealing their identity, and then you can move through those kind of gated, like say, airlocks or interactions. The AI don't like you doing it, so you have to be sneaky about how you conduct that cloning thing with the profile analyzer. And also, if you get scanned and they detect that you've got a cloned authorization on you, they'll also kick off because they know that you've stolen it, basically.
We did that a few times.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways you can kind of approach a settlement, in terms of how you want to engage with it. It's definitely not a case that you have to go in shooting, and it's definitely not the case that you can't achieve mission objectives, even if they are slightly nefarious, right, in terms of the objective. You can still essentially stealth your way in and use the tools available to avoid detection and avoid overt criminality that's going to get you in trouble straight away.
That's really cool. So when you talked about how it's not a hive mind with the NPCs, there's a little bit of a delay as comms sort of spread across and they realize what's going on. We saw that to an extent where Evan actually took out the 2 members of staff. Should I call them members of staff? What should I call them?
That makes it way more personal, Bruce.
Call
them evil scientists.
The two dastardly scientists inside the regulator room. He took them out, but it wasn't actually until the alarms went off when he ripped the regulator that that the whole base was alerted. That's very cool. So my understanding is that with the actual scanning mechanic, if they find you, there are a few things that might happen during that interaction. So if, say, you're wanted, like we've mentioned, but also carrying illicit goods or having that stolen authorization code. Those are also examples of things that might set them off.
That's right. So if you've been looting the settlement and you've been pretty stealthy about it up to that point, if you get caught for a scan and they scan you, they'll detect those stolen goods on you, and again, they'll not be happy about it.
The choice there, I guess, Gareth, is you have to make a decision: do you fight or do you run? Right? Because
fight or flight.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned we spoke about the scanning yesterday, Gareth, just as we were sort of prepping for the stream, and one of the things I asked you was, like, once you've been scanned once, are you kind of, that's it, they'll leave you alone? And you said something very interesting about it being sort of on a cooldown, or if something happens, could you go into more details? Like, it's not just one and done. They will come back if you hang around too long. Yeah,
so they can be interested by suspicious stimuli. So if they saw, for instance, the cut panel on the floor, they'd know that wasn't right. And if you were in the vicinity, they kind of go, well, you're close enough to this that, that doesn't seem right. So rather than just escalate to combat, they'll come over and scan you because they've seen you near this thing. And that can be any number of different kinds of stimuli within the environment that they pick up on.
So basically, don't think just because you've been scanned once that you're okay now. They will come around.
They will, but we don't want it to feel too spammy either. So, it's not like if one guy, it's basically if an AI has just scanned you for something, another one's not going to walk up to you and scan you again immediately. So you're not having to sort of, continually submit to scan after scan.
You don't want it to be like being charity mugged in a high street. Where you go down and you say no to one person, you turn the corner, there's somebody else in a different coloured bib, and then someone else, no. We don't want that.
But, if you're causing a ruckus, right, and you're moving through, setting off all these stimuli, then they're going to respond.
Bruce, sorry, I don't get a question there, Bruce. Sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry. No, well, I was going to say.
Go for it.
Shall I go? All right.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Gareth. You mentioned if a player wanted, they could take a very stealthy approach to something like this mission. I guess in the playthrough, it was somewhere between sort of half stealth on the way in and sort of more guns blazing on the way out. But the settlements do have other defenses that we actually saw in that playthrough, like the skimmers and Goliaths. Yeah. Obviously, the alarm counts as one. And I don't know how much it actually showed in that gameplay, but there is actually a turret there as well. Yeah. Are there things that a player might do to avoid or disable or disarm those defenses as well if they wanted to go full stealth?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you guys did in the mission playthrough was kind of like the ultimate pull the plug, right? You pull the power reactor regulator out, and that's essentially killing the power to everything. So the turret's shut down, and the alarms are still going because there's a bit of emergency power there, and it still powers the airlocks. But generally, everything else is gone down. And all the AI in the settlement are going to react to that, right? It's pretty obvious when someone's cut the power to your settlement. But if you were doing a more stealthy approach, so a good example is the command building. Often houses quite a lot of consoles that you can interact with to turn certain features of the settlement on and off. Turrets being one, alarms being another. And the AI don't necessarily understand unless they see you actually interact with that console, then they're not aware that those things have been turned off. So you can kind of, like, if you're patient, you can scope out a settlement, scan the AI, make sure you understand their patrol routes, make sure that you're sneaking in. If you need to take somebody out, there's mods that you can apply to your weapons and suits to make you more stealthy, silenced weapons, for instance. If you can then get to those consoles and turn those features off, that then opens the kind of door for you doing more overt actions because the alarms aren't going to sound when you do it, right? So, So there's definitely prep that you can do to make your life easier if you don't want to firefight.
Sorry, go.
No, go for it.
I was saying, but I guess what you said at the start, the mission we showcased today is you can only stealth to a point, and then it becomes your own. But there are other missions,
absolutely,
which you could definitely get in and get out and never be seen, I guess.
Yeah, and we have some of our mission types. We've got some of the old classics in there, like assassinations, and we've got new ones like sabotage, where you're going into the production building and sort of messing up their production line for the whatever they're doing in terms of mining or industrial processes. There's heist missions where you're being tasked to actually steal something, one of which is what you were playing, which was the reactor core heist. And some of those are suitable to have a wrinkle on where we ask for a bonus payment. You have to be covert, which means obviously not getting discovered. And other ones have no collateral, so that means don't kill anybody. Interestingly enough, we're having a look at the moment at assassination missions where we have a no collateral bonus on it. So it's like just kill the target, nobody else is to die. And I think that ties in really nicely with some of the other stuff we're doing with missions where we're, especially the ones that you take from mission givers, we're trying to really give them a lot more flavour and context in terms of the storytelling around them. So these kind of mission descriptions that you have face to face with the mission givers, when they're coupled up with these sort of wrinkles, as we call it, I think they give the missions a really nice sort of flavour.
And again, I guess to reiterate this point, we're talking about one mission type at one settlement type. We haven't even and we will do in a later date. We'll go into sort of point of interest and scavenging and all the variations. And of course, all the stuff we're saying from missions is missions, but Elite Dangerous is, first and foremost, it's your playground, so you can do whatever you want to do in it. So you don't necessarily have to have a mission to go and steal something. You can investigate bases and go around and look at stuff. And one thing to point out, and I didn't mention it, but as we went into the power building, it clearly said this was obviously where we shouldn't be. We crossed a barrier, a trespassing barrier. So that's the other thing as well. It's not just a case of you can sneak around. If you're seen in areas you shouldn't be in, they're going to be like, this person shouldn't be in this room, so alarms will be raised. And
there's another, again, we've softened that slightly. So if you're detected, they basically fine you and tell you to get out of the area, and you have a number of seconds to clear out before they'll escalate to, combat and setting alarms off.
Yeah.
So we try to steer away from the really harsh, immediate fail conditions, really.
Yeah.
But if you're persistent and, or you're not very careful, then
Well, one of the questions I've seen come up in chat, and apologies, I won't be able to get to all of these. We will try and do a follow-up tomorrow because chat is flying past me. But I did see what happens if you fail a mission. And one thing I get asked a lot about is death. It was something that Bruce and I experienced a lot of whilst trying to get back to the mission. Can you talk us through if you fail a mission and then what happens if you die in a mission? Because I guess they can be different. You could run away and still fail the mission, or you can die and ultimately
fail the objective. Essentially, if you die, then you do fail the mission that you're currently doing at that place at that time. In terms of what happens to you as a player when you die, you really get a choice of two things. So if you're on foot and you don't have a ship at all, which is entirely possible if you're a new player at the start of Odyssey, you'll basically respawn in the nearest port or outpost. If you have a ship, you then get the choice. You can either respawn at the port or you can respawn in your ship. If your ship is basically parked up on a planet surface, it will be pushed to orbit and you'll respawn in the ship in orbit. If it's docked at a port already, then you'll respawn in your ship at the port.
Yeah. And what about any items I may have got halfway through if I was killed in my backpack? So
anything that's in your backpack inventory, which is separate to kind of your storage inventory, once something's in your storage, it's safe. But while you're out on foot, basically the only inventory you have access to is your backpack. And if you die, anything that is in your backpack is lost. Yeah. So if you've been running around looting a settlement without a care in the world, and you get taken down, then all of that loot that you've scavenged, that'll be gone.
Yeah. Bruce, I thought I saw Bruce was about to come in with a question there. He was scribbling.
No, that's fine. I had a question actually, but then I got so engrossed in that answer. No, it's reminded me actually. So I saw some people commenting on our fighting skills or lack of them.
Amazingly well.
I don't think it was too bad. I've seen worse.
But despite that, those NPCs were not so tough compared to some that can be spawned in, is my understanding. Could you talk a little bit about NPC difficulty?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess this relates to the classic time to kill question, right? What's the time to kill in your game? And the answer is it's incredibly variable because it's all gear driven. So the quality of your, obviously taking skill out of the equation for the moment. So essentially, if I've got the worst gear and I'm against AI or players with the best gear, then they are going to have a significant power differential over me in terms of damage resistance and damage dealt. So they're going to feel spongy to me, and I'm going to feel really easy to kill to them. If we're on a level, then it's a lot different, but then obviously I can bias it in my favour as well. In terms of AI, there's also behavioural elements to combat that only kind of escalate up when you're fighting the higher tier AI. So they get a bit cleverer, a bit better at evading, a bit more accurate. So there's two kind of things going on with the AI in terms of the difficulty escalation. The other thing to note is that the difficulty of the activity that you're kind of engaging with also dictates the level of reward. So if I'm doing difficult level missions that are going to send me to settlements that are full of military guys that have got really good gear, then I'm going to get good rewards. If I'm going to, you know, a little farmstead and popping Farmer Joe off without much trouble, then the rewards are going to be commensurate to the effort that I'm putting in.
Yeah.
So those two things kind of sit and scale together. But you know, if you like your combat to be really easy, then you know you can always make sure you've got the advantage in terms of gear, and you'll know that going into the activity. So then you can, and certainly once you scan the individual players or AI, you can tell exactly how powerful they are and whether you want to take them on or not.
Sure, and that makes perfect sense. Thank you. On the topic of missions then and rewards, I guess it's sort of implied, but to be sort of clear with the mission playthrough we just did, obviously the idea was to steal the power regulator from that settlement. I suppose that's an example of a sort of retrieve mission that you might get.
Yeah, a heist mission, yeah.
A heist mission. What sort of, can you give us other examples of missions players might be asked to complete?
Yeah, sure. So a good I think an interesting one would be to do the inverse of what you guys did in that video. So we have what are nominally called at the moment reboot and restore missions. So that settlement through the BGS could actually be in an offline state where everything's already shut down. It's maybe a bit damaged. Normal faction population isn't even there. And you might be tasked with actually being given the power regulator by the mission giver, and then your job is to go down and actually get into the reactor building and put that settlement back online. The kind of restore, that's the reboot part of it. The restore part is that some of those buildings might be on fire. So then once I've got the settlement back online, I have to go building by building and basically depressurize and sort of flush, you know, in terms of depressurize the buildings, put fires out, and then repressurize. And the friction there is that because it's in an offline state, we could have scavenger or criminal gangs turning up. They might already be there. So sure. Again, it's not faction AI that you're dealing with at that point. It's a different kind of, you know, experience.
Yeah, I mean,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And of course, we got away with the power regulator. Now, as a player, you have that choice then to turn that in. You may want to keep it, right? You might want you might want to get your own nefarious needs. And the reason I say that is because one of the things we saw being applied to decouple the power regulator was something that was called an electronic breach. Do you want to talk a little bit about what they are, Gareth, and like the pros and cons of them, as it were?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we were talking earlier about that kind of what we call it in dev onion skinning, which is where we're kind of gating the player's access to things. And the authority level was one of those ways of, you know, gating. There is a device in the game called an e-breach. It's a consumable device, so it's a one and done. You can buy these things, right? They're pretty expensive. But essentially, you put them on a device that requires an authorization to access, and it just overrides it. So it gives you don't have to go through I'm going to have to scan an AI to get authorization to get through this thing. It's another way through. AI don't like seeing them, though. If they see it on a device or they see you placing it, they'll react to it because it's an illegal act. But yeah, it's another way that the player can kind of move through these onion skin layers in settlement. And again, it's a decision, right? So if I'm on a mission and it's not particularly well paid mission, do I really want to be using my expensive e-breaches to get through this, or would I be better off jumping into my utility suit, getting my art cutter out and just cutting my way in, right? And
which is the perfect segue, Gareth. I knew you would do that. I knew you would do it without prompting. And one of the things we've talked about before is the diversity of the suits that we have and why they are important. And it's important for players to pick what they're taking. So you mentioned there about using the art cutter. Now, in our playthrough, obviously, I was the pilot, safe in my beautiful Alliance Crusader. It wasn't a chieftain, sadly, but it was a Crusader. But Bruce, you were in the tactical suit with 2 primary weapons, which had heavier shields and better armor. And I believe Evan was in the utility suit, which had lighter armor, lighter shields, but it had the cutter, laser cutter, and it also has a better infantry, right? So these are just things that... as a player, if you're going solo, you need to consider really what your mission is and how you're going to play it. And if you're a team, again, what your role is within that team. Like, are you going to be absorbing firepower, dealing damage, sneaking through everywhere? Because it's not just your suit, it's the weapons and equipment you take with you, right, Gareth?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that I really liked about the mission playthrough that you guys did, was that you did have those diverse roles, right? There was somebody who was clearly gaining entry, and then you had sort of, the cover man and then the getaway driver. And that's really, from a design perspective, exactly what the dream has been, right? Is that we can provide these different roles for players to take up. And actually, if they come together, especially as you were starting to see there through our physical multi-crew, right, then that facilitates people to be in the same place physically at the same time much more easily, and coordinate and, do these cool kind of missions or free form activities together. So that for me was one of the best bits about that video.
Yeah, absolutely. On the topic of the tactical suit in particular, so Arthur just mentioned it can carry 2 primary weapons, which is unique to that suit, I believe. We didn't necessarily show it so much in this playthrough. I think largely we stuck to some people were calling it the laser weapon, but I think the more technical description is plasma. Is that right?
Not quite.
You've got laser and plasma, huh?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
could you talk to us a little bit about those different types then, and what they might be used for if someone was switching between them?
Yes. So it was way back in the day when we started prototyping combat. It became quite clear to us early on that the ship combat in the game is really, really good, and it's got some really interesting concepts behind it. So we basically just nicked them because they were cool. And the premise is that kinetic weapons are good against armor, or in ship terms, hull. Lasers are good against shields, and plasma are kind of pretty good against both, but not quite as good as each of the other ones in their role. So when it then comes to loading out, it's like, well, if I'm going to do a lot of combat, it's likely that I'm going to be fighting against people with shields, so I probably need plasma or laser to get through those more efficiently. And then, I want something kinetic to kind of finish them off. By the way, the civilian AI doesn't have shields in the game, so they're always susceptible to kinetic weapon fire. And then it gets even more interesting, I think, again, like when you guys working as a team, it's like now I don't necessarily need to cover all the bases, because actually you can be the laser guy, right? You're the anti-shield guy. You're using our special grenade type that's really good against shields. You're using laser weapons, and you're kind of picking the shields off, and then somebody else is there, finishing them off with the kinetics. So I think that weapon damage type relationship was really good in the ship combat. So yeah, and it works equally well on foot, I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've seen some people asking about sort of the ship not being fired upon. Trust me, it was fired upon. And I will also give you a little bit of some of the things that come into the past about like how dangerous a base defense is. Well, I can tell you firsthand, they are very dangerous. So I, as a start, and there's a military installation, Gareth, right? What size was that installation? Sorry, so I get this right. Was that a medium or a large?
So I would say that was about average. We've got ones definitely bigger. The militaries tend to be a bit on the bigger side anyway, just because they've got a lot of diverse buildings and stuff.
So my Crusader, a medium.
Yeah, it's
say medium.
Yeah.
My Crusader that I was in, once it kicked off, and we did some early test runs just to see what I could and couldn't do, because originally I was going to fly around and start, shooting down the streets, and I realised pretty early on that you don't last very long if you start messing around with bases when the base's full defenses are online. I think before I had, and I'll tell you the rest of the story, I think I lasted about 15 to 20 seconds, and my Crusader got absolutely annihilated. Then I went away, and Bruce and I had a little conflab, and we came back and we put in some engineered holes, some engineered shields, point defense all over it, because everyone knows I love point defense. And even then, you don't get a lot of time. So bear that in mind. If you're doing missions, particularly where you're not putting the power core, I would heavily recommend not being detected, because your ship will not last a very long time. Is that right, Gareth? Is that fair to say? Is that good?
I'd agree. I'd concur. I think as well in that particular playthrough, because when you guys came into the settlement, you didn't have a bad relationship with the faction, right? And there wasn't a reason for them to attack on sight. And then by the time you kind of did the getaway, you'd obviously pulled the power core at that point, which is going to turn the defenses off anyway. Yeah. So if I'm getting it right, that would be my understanding of why that video showed it in that way. Yeah.
It did, correct. So that's cool. I mean, I just think I saw someone ask a question, so I thought I'd just jump in there. Sorry, Bruce, if I was delaying another question from yourself.
No, not at all. Not at all. On the topic of the ship, though, now that you've reminded me, a lot of players will notice that as we came in, and this kind of makes sense with the story that we were showing, as we came in, we were able to request docking permission and land on the pad.
Yes, that's right.
But for the getaway, we made a point of landing to the side of the settlement on some flat ground near there for the quick escape. Obviously, they weren't so friendly towards us by that point, and if we request docking permission, they'd have probably told us where to get off. This reminds me of it was a small change, but it sounds like a small change, but actually, when you're using it, it was very helpful, and we hadn't really realized this was the case until we tried it. At the beginning of the stream, lots of people were making fun of Arthur for using auto dock to land, but there was a reason for that. Arthur, would you like to talk?
There's a running joke between Bruce and I about this. I don't need auto dock. I can land, but we were trying to get some smooth footage of landing. I'm not saying my landings are always smooth, but I definitely get you there. But this also now works on auto docking or auto landing, I guess, will now work on planetary services, Gareth. Is that right? So
yes, that's right.
It will now find a location for you to land your ship, which can be for some commanders, a bit tricky. I will point out, and I'm going to stress this: the landing was without auto landing. I did that. That was me eyeballing that in. I did land that without auto landing. All right. So don't you start putting any thoughts if it was mine, Garrido. I can see what you're doing. But yes, it's a cool feature, of which I'm sure there are many lots of little loving tweaks put into Odyssey, which players will get to experience. Because Odyssey is the big picture, right? Odyssey is everything you see, but it's not just the big flashy parts. There's lots and lots of love gone into Odyssey.
There is, and it's hard to encapsulate it in a few minutes of video. Actually, I think when the guys out there get hold of the alpha, I think that's when they're really going to understand what it is that we've done.
Yeah.
I'll try and describe it as I can now.
Bruce and I are players first and foremost, and we're very lucky to work at Frontier and be community managers here as well. And I remember when we first played it, all being in a Teams chat, and I did say, look, it's really important for us to tell you just how much fun we had playing it, because and this probably leads into what I'm going to ask you next, because you're always just working on it, right? So I guess your job is the big picture, but then always looking at problems and trying to fix problems. We're lucky.
Certainly is at the moment.
We're lucky enough to get to see the results of that, and I just thought it is really important. Like when Bruce and I played it, we honestly, our jaws were just dropped, because we were like, this looks like an entirely new game, and we were just looking around in different buildings and all the stuff you do, and this we have to I say this every time. It is our largest update ever. But it is an update to an existing game, and you're taking an entirely new genre and melding it with what was essentially built as a space simulation game. And I really want people to understand that task. Honestly, it's like magic what you've done, because the work that you guys are doing is incredible. And to see all this, and to see all the stuff that's in there, and how interactive it is, and how immersive it is incredible. So how does it feel? I guess the question is it nice when you see an asset come together? Because I guess it's not the first time you've seen it, but is it nice to see it like this is what you had in your mind? This is what we're trying to make.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to see it all come together like that in one kind of, I know it wasn't one take, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just awesome, right? Because we don't often see all those constituent parts all together all the time. Often our focus is this problem, this problem, this problem. How are these things going to work together? And then to see somebody actually play it, enjoy it, it's really good for us.
It was beautiful. I don't know how you felt when you first played it, Bruce.
Yeah, no, it was so exciting. I'm struggling to find a word for the feeling. I think a lot of it was honestly just you've played Elite for so long, and then you actually get out of the ship. Like that's the first big thing. It's like, wow, actually, there's a whole like new dimension to this game. You really see the effects of them being combined. There's a huge payoff to building Odyssey on top of Elite Dangerous, because now it's all one thing. You can fly towards a planet all the way down onto the ground, and that sounds like a simple thing, but actually coming in through the atmosphere and then seeing the planetary tech come in as you start to notice the different land formations and whatnot, and you find somewhere to land and get out, it's all such an immersive experience, even more so now. And talking about that merging of the game with Elite Dangerous, that includes the whole package, right? So things like the BGS as well. This came to mind earlier when you were talking about how players could choose to support or go against various settlements and the factions that occupy them. That's going to be a new way to interact with the wider game in terms of influence and power and all of that. If I'm understanding it correctly, right, Gareth?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're spot on. The things that you do on foot are meaningful in terms of feeding back into the BGS, and then the BGS changing the state of things that are happening on foot. Yeah, that cycle is as true on foot as it is in the existing space game.
I am going to get in trouble, and I don't answer this, Gareth, because I will get in trouble just for saying this.
Right.
So one of the other things that Bruce and I took a sneaky look at was Frontline Solutions, which obviously is a big part of things you can interact with. It's incredible, and I can't wait for players when we start showing news on how that looks and how that works. And that's what I keep saying to people. This is the scale of what you have done. We're looking at one mission on one installation type on one planet type, and this is spread throughout the entire galaxy. And all of this stuff is just a tiniest snippet of what you can do. And again, why we will stress the alpha is so vitally important that we get as many of you in to play it, so we can see how it reacts, how it breaks, because we want it to stress test this to see what isn't going to work, what is going to work. I mean, you probably don't want it to break too much, Gareth, but it's the idea behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that, from my slightly selfish perspective, that I'm really interested in from the alpha is people's feedback on things like the economy. How much is a bounty worth? How much is, a trespass fine worth? All of these kinds of things that feel right to us in dev at the moment, but we might have got wrong. And you guys, when you start playing it at the end of the month, I think en masse, you're going to be able to quite quickly establish where we've got things wrong. And, where it's a data value like that, it's, in the scheme of things, it's relatively easy for us to start pulling those levers and balance. So, I think that kind of feedback especially is going to be really, really useful. And then, things like, does this gun feel OP, or is it underpowered? I'm never going to use this because it's just not fulfilling its function because of this reason. And I think we'll have time to take that on board and react and do some cool stuff.
So
Bruce absolutely.
Here he goes. I knew.
I'm just nodding along.
Face.
That's
I'm
all.
Watching your face.
But no, I'm nodding along. I'm also reading the chat, and I actually want to touch back on something that a player had said. I wanted to address this. So they were talking about the NPCs and how enemies were highlighted. I think, just to clarify a little bit, they weren't highlighted as such. The feature I think they were seeing was the shields popping on, and then they've got that blue sort of glow around them as they're activated, and that's something the players can do as well by flicking them on and off, and that will play off your suit's energy.
Big time.
And the suit energy is actually it's going to be a big thing in terms of you have to manage it. It will vary by suits. Can you talk us through a little bit on suit management and how you might fill up and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so there are different things that basically pull on the suit's power. There's the underlying life support machine that's generating the air that the player's breathing. As you mentioned, there's things like the shield, which is actually pretty power hungry when it's turned on. Again, depends which suit you're in, exactly how hungry it was. Then we've got things like some of the tool usage actually uses your suit power to power those tools. So depending on what you're doing and where you're doing it, survival actually starts to become something that you need to be considerate of, right? It's not generally such an issue in settlements because, in the worst case, if you run out of suit power, generally you can dive into a building and at least you can breathe, right?
Yeah.
And there's generally points where you can recharge your suit using the E-Link tool. If you're out exploring or you're at a POI scavenging, those kind of, what we'd call settlement functions and facilities aren't necessarily available. Then the risk about, am I too far away from my vessel? Am I pushing that little bit too much? Am I risking, running out of power here, not being able to get back somewhere safe, and eventually actually asphyxiating in my suit, which is it's a difficult one to describe, right? Because it's really cool, but it's really quite disturbing at the same time. It still sort of hits me a little bit when it happens, and you're like, wow, that's pretty powerful.
That's a huge part of the immersion though as well. I think something that was
absolutely.
so striking about playing Odyssey for the first time was you really feel like, firstly, you've got the reflections coming off your helmet as you look around, and the stars light is sort of shining off it, but you also notice sort of when you sprint and that kind of thing, like as your character starts puffing and panting, like a little bit of condensation will build up, and all of that sort of adding to this feeling like you are just a guy in a suit, and that's all that's between you and this planet, which really creates a nice experience.
That's right. And there's other environmental factors like temperature can have quite a dramatic effect on how hard your suit has to work to keep you alive. So if you're in extreme temperatures, your suit can run out of power more quickly. If you're in really extreme temperatures, you can actually start, taking physical damage almost immediately. And some temperatures are so extreme we don't even allow you to disembark into them. But because of the nature of our planetary model, it's possible to disembark at a point where the temperature is in a range that's acceptable. And then, through the movement of the planet, you can actually then be pushed into unacceptable temperature ranges, and that can happen quite quickly, and that generates some real panic moments as well.
That's really cool. Actually.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right?
That has that moment of like when you're a kid and you're told don't just get in a raft and sit in the sea because you don't realise how far you're travelling, right? And you're just bobbing around, and suddenly you've moved 4 miles down the coastline, and mum and dad are like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" I guess the same on the planet, like it's orbiting a star, and depending on its distance and all those different factors, you could be unaware. You could be happily, blissfully doing your thing, and that is orbiting at quite a rate, and then suddenly you're too far away from your ship, or you are too exposed, and suddenly you are a barbecue or
to a crisp. Yeah. It's nice that planetary factors like that will sort of matter more than ever once you're obviously stood on the planet. We didn't mention gravity as well. Actually in the playthrough on that planet, I think it's about half a G, which we didn't realize until after a couple of runs when I think we tried to throw a grenade, and obviously that for example just went a lot further than you would normally expect. And that affects things like obviously jumping and movement as well. So that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I did see one of the questions about people saying that could they throw grenades really high on certain planets? Like, yeah, you can. You can. There's lots. I guess one thing I'm excited for when Odyssey launches is to see what the players do, because it's always in my mind. It's like, oh, they do this, they do that, they do this, and they always do the opposite. Like the exact. And I'm like, I never would have even thought to try and do that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going through this. I'm just trying to make sure that now I'm actually using Bruce's confidence page now. See, Bruce, it was worthwhile having. I think we've covered a lot off in here. Is there anything I've missed, Bruce, that you think we should ask? Or anything you want to say?
Nothing springs to mind. Other than to say it was just a lot of fun. It was probably even more fun to make than you guys to watch. And hopefully you guys have really enjoyed it. So like we said, the alpha is coming for anyone who wasn't paying attention or was too excited to notice the end slate. That's coming on the 29th. So you guys will have a chance to get involved. We very much look forward to seeing you there. I almost wish we had a little blooper reel of some of our playthroughs, because there were some funny moments, and I'm sure you guys will have lots of them as well.
There are a few cuts, Bruce. And before we go, it is your birthday today, Gareth. Now, we didn't have a lot of time, a lot of notice, but we did reach out. Can you see the stream, Gareth, firstly? I'm not sure if you can see it or not.
I did have it, but I haven't been watching it because I can't abide watching myself.
Well, we reached out to Beetlejude and we asked her for a special commission for your birthday. I'll flip back because I was just talking and realised I didn't put audio on that slide. So you said it was amazing, right? So sorry, Beetlejude, but Gareth was impressed. That's on its way to the office, Gareth. So next time you're in, it should be here.
I might have to make a trip especially to get that, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, Beetlejude. I know it was short notice. As always, great work. And thank you so much for making the effort. Gareth, I'm going to call it there because your time is very, very precious. And I'll flip back to me and Bruce in a second. But I just want to say from myself, thank you for all the work you're putting in. Thank you for allowing us to the resources to play the game, because I know it's very difficult to get us in and start branches and different things off the build. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. You're always answering our questions, and thank you for making time on your birthday, mate. It's really appreciated.
No worries. I really enjoy it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Cheers,
we'll
guys.
see you again soon. Thanks a lot, Gareth. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Well, Bruce, that was a pretty cool interview. Gareth's a super cool guy. Cool, super chill. Chat, I've seen loads of questions going past. People asked me to play the trailer again. Of course I'm going to play it. Of course I'm going to play the trailer again. I'll play it after we finish our bit of a spiel, and then that'll be in today's stream. I want to thank everyone that was involved in this. And I will stress again, it was pre-alpha footage. So yes, there are some bits in that will change 100%. It were maybe a bit rough around the edges, but the idea was to give you all a look at what it means to have what Odyssey can provide in just one tiny aspect of what Odyssey can do.
And that's almost the frustrating bit. If you guys enjoyed that, just wait, because for us, we've only seen, we haven't seen all of it. There's lots that even we haven't seen, but that's just a slice. I mean, even things like the depth of that settlement, which you won't necessarily fully appreciate in the video, you could go into all of those buildings. It's uninstance, so it's all in one instance. Sorry, so you could open any door and just go in and look through the window and see where the NPCs are. And there's so much to discover at any given point, and lots of things have changed. So it's all very exciting. But no, as soon as the alpha hits, you'll be able to see that for yourselves, and we're very, very excited for you to do so.
Sorry, yeah, I had to adjust your camera, Bruce. You switched cameras on me like the maverick you are.
I'm invading your little box.
I've sorted that out. But yeah, no, there is tons to see and to do, and it really is too much to show. It's one of those games where you'll discover so much when you play it. And also the alpha, March 29th. So more details to how you'll be able to sign up that will come. I'm working on that now, and so we can get some clear messaging so it makes perfect sense to people. I know it's important. I am working on it. There are probably a ton of questions in here, but I can't see chat. It's moving sort of pretty quick for me. Thank you, Bruce, for your effort in getting this captured. I know I'll give you a hard time, but you really were the worst player on our team. So thank you for being it. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much for coming in, mate, and making the effort. Again, thank you to Evan, in particular from QA, who was our third in the utility suit, cutting through a door and doing all the cool stuff. And thank you, particularly again to Sam S. For all of his, we constantly badgered him when we were in the office to come and fix stuff and get us in the right branch and do coding stuff. It really was an effort to get it through, but as a company, we thought it was really important that you get to see this. So I guess that's it, Bruce, right? There's nothing else for us, so we will see you.
Yeah, I guess so.
You want to add in?
No, I think you've just about covered it. Yeah, all good.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with the trailer again, everyone, and thank you very much, and we'll see you again on Tuesday's Super Crew News. 07, everyone. Take care.
07, Commanders. Bye-bye.
Hello everyone, David Braben here. Now, we've been making great progress on Odyssey, and What we have here is not quite a dev diary. We thought we'd mix it up a bit. This is a video of 3 of our excellent community team raiding a settlement. It's still pre-alpha, but a huge well done to the team for getting to this point. I've been playing it too. It's really coming together. We'll share more in the coming weeks, but here is the video. Enjoy.
Alright guys, we're on our way in. Dutch munitions is 20 km ahead. The landing shouldn't be a problem, but when you're there, take no chances. I would suggest avoiding contact. Use cover as much as possible. Get the job done and get out.
Okay.
I think we should be alright.
Alright guys, we're here. The power building's at the back on the right-hand side next to command center.
So what's the plan?
The plan is we go in and try and stay quiet, not draw too much attention to ourselves. If you do get stopped by a guard, we are clean at the minute, so let them just scan you and move on. But we'll try and avoid that.
Alright.
You ready to go, Cersei?
Sure. Let's go take them offline.
Alright guys, we know your roles, know what you got to do. If you make your way down the middle, it should be a pretty short run. I'll keep eyes on for a little while guys, but then I'll make my way to the rendezvous.
Right, let's move up.
How are we looking?
You've got some skimmers, some guards, but they all seem to be moving away from you, so you should be clear.
Thanks, Hermes. Alright, let's stay as far away from the guards as we can.
Looks like you guys will get this from here. I'm gonna make my way to the rendezvous point. Good luck. Shout me if you need me.
Alright, see you later, Hermes.
See you on the other side, son. Right, after you. How's it looking around there?
This side looks good, actually. Walkway's clear.
Okay. Right, push up.
Yeah, let's go. I see 2 personnel over the other side, just outside the airlock.
Oh yeah, I see them.
Okay, we have some medical supplies here in case we need them.
Okay. Okay, I'm moving up. I've got a guard across, walking past the habitation building. And I've got eyes on the power building. We okay to move up?
Yeah, let's move across to the command center.
Cool.
Walkway to the left is clear.
Right, on your mark.
Okay, let's go for it.
Alright guys, I'm in position. Went behind the ridge line. Shout me when you need me.
Alright.
Cool. I'm pushing forward.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a clean path all the way to the power building.
Right, I'm sprinting over. I came out the door. I'm just looking through the door now, and I see 2 workers.
Be aware you do have some security services running combat air patrol over this installation. I've got a Viper and a Vulture.
Copy that.
Right, could you cover me while I just cut the maintenance panel, please?
Alright.
Cutting now.
Yeah, looks like we're clear. Let's get in and out pretty quick.
Alright. Panel is cut. Panel's down. Switching to the energy link. Okay, right, I'm going to overload the airlock. Just look after me.
Okay.
Overloading in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, the worker's gonna have to go. I can't do what I need to do with them in there.
Alright.
I'm gonna take them out. That's 1 worker down. That's 2 workers down. Okay, right, they're done.
Okay, nicely done. We haven't alerted anyone outside yet.
Excellent, okay. Right, I'm gonna hack into the reactor now. Applying E-breach now. E-breach applied. Almost in. Keep an eye out for me.
Alright.
Right, okay, I'm in. So I'm getting ready to disengage the regulator, so the alarm's gonna go off. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Sweet. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the core's shutting down.
All right, the base is alerted.
They're coming for us now. Let's get ready.
Reactor shutdown protocol has been
Right, there's some
initiated.
med kits in here if you want them as well.
Shutdown in T-minus 60
Okay,
seconds.
guards are coming our way. We have 3 guards. Make that 4 closing in on us now.
You're going to have to take most of the shots as well because my suit's not designed for it. Remember, you can use the airlock as cover if you need to.
All right.
Cersei, how long are we looking for this regulator?
Okay, regulator is about 40% done.
Reactor shutdown in 30 seconds.
Okay, we are 3/4 of the way done. I'd get those engines warmed up as well.
Yeah, I'm on standby, ready when you are.
Okay, we're gonna have to be quick to make a move because they're really piling up outside now. I'm gonna make my way back in.
Reactor shutdown in 10 seconds.
Okay, they've got me backed into the power room now.
Okay, core is venting.
Reactor shutdown complete.
Regulator should be extending now.
How much longer do you need?
I'd say another 5 seconds.
I'm starting my approach.
Okay, I'm trying to stop them from coming in.
Regulator is exposed. Okay, I'm taking it now. Right, I've got it.
Okay, let's make a break for it.
As quick as you can, we're not going to last much longer here. Right, I need you to get that ship in.
I'm already on my way.
All right, just keep running. Okay, we're about to exit on the west.
We're going to have to stay in this gap until the ship's in.
Coming in low and fast.
Why are you picking us up?
Yeah, west side, west side.
All right, we're gonna need you soon, pilot. They're really closing in on us.
Yep.
You should see me coming to the ridgeline now.
Yeah, they are coming hard and fast here.
Coming in now. Got this in covering fire.
It's a grenade. We're getting shot at by the Goliath now.
All right, turn and run. Let's go.
Right, run.
Come on.
Just a few more moments.
Goliath right in front of me.
It's shooting at me.
Try and use the ship for cover.
Okay.
All right, just keep running. I'll try and cover us.
You can make it, you can make it. Keep running.
We're so close.
Okay, I'm under the ship. I'm almost on. Regulator in tow.
Let me know when you're in.
I'm getting in now. Right, I'm on board and so is the regulator.
Okay, we're on. Let's go.
Straight up and out. Come on, come on, come on. We should be clear.
Excellent job.
All right, bring us home.